what I spoke about, or the vision that I had when we were speaking around the time of the elections, that I saw a python which speaks of a spiritual suffocation that was coming, that it actually had laid eggs, and was a spirit that is upon this nation, and that God was going to take charge of it over the first, from January, from the first 80 to 100 days. Now, I didn't know what that meant, and I still don't know what that means, but I'll tell you this much. The first 80 to 100 days, which starting now in January, whatever time that is, this spirit will be destroyed. But I really felt burdened because I knew that it wouldn't just go easily. Now, where's that picture? Did we Facebook the picture of that Abby sent us? Abby Black, was it? This picture of the child drew about the eagle attacking the python, and of course the eggs would not hatch. All of this is important to understand, because if you don't think there is such a thing as spiritual warfare, my friend, you've got a problem. Because Daniel spoke about this when the prophet was praying, and he knew that he was praying for something more than just his own needs, but he set his face to Jerusalem, which I've spoken to you about already. When you pray, when you walk with God, whatever, you set your face not to your problem. He didn't set his face to Babylon. He set his face to Jerusalem. Now, he was in Babylon in captivity. Even though he was reigning in captivity. You may not understand this, but you can actually reign while in captivity. You can rule while you are in captivity. You can prosper while you are in captivity. What are you talking about, Kim? Well, I don't know if you followed what I was saying the past few weeks, but Joseph, he prospered even though he was in Potiphar's home as a slave. He became the ruler of his household. That was a massive thing. And then he went to prison, and in prison, Joseph prospered. So really, a lot of people that say, well, I will wait, I'm going to wait till I get my breakthrough, and then I'm going to give, and I'm going to do all these great things. You're wrong, because it's not how it works. This takes place right at the beginning of your life, where you begin to practice the gift of God, like Joseph practiced his gift while he was in prison. He didn't say, when I stand before the king, then I will show my gift. He practiced it. So Daniel, while in captivity, set his face towards Jerusalem and began to pray. And he fasted and prayed. And what he was doing was he was releasing something in the heavens. What you don't understand, and what I understand now, a lot of people don't understand, but I do when I go into my garden, even if I feel nothing, even if I'm in pain or I'm concerned about something, I know that every time I open my mouth and pray, that something is taking place in the heavens, which will eventually release it on the earth. I may not see it. I may be praying in that garden in Los Angeles, California, and somewhere in Greece, God is doing something. I may be praying in California and releasing something in the heavens that gets released in Russia or in Syria or in Israel. I may never know about it. Daniel didn't know the extent and the consequence of his spiritual prayer life until the angel came there and said, for 21 days I have been battling the demon, the prince of Persia. Now you've got to listen to this, because even though we are under new covenant, we think, well, Jesus took care of all that. Yes, he did for you. But he still says fight the good fight of faith. He speaks about spiritual warfare, that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. Something that is in the heavenlies, something that is over this nation right now, has to be pulled down, and it cannot be pulled down by Joe Biden. It cannot be pulled down by the President of the United States. It cannot be pulled down by politicians. It can only be pulled down by the spiritual leaders that have set their heart towards the kingdom. Not towards failure, but towards the kingdom, and said, now we will pray, and whatever spiritual stronghold is over our nation, it will come to an end. I am one of those voices, just one. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, Jesus said. Whatever you loose on earth will be. Give me that big key that's in my office. You have a key. I was going to tell you the names of God, but I'm not going to. I'm going to get straight into the spirit of Python and the spirit that has joined forces in order to try and bring this about, and it's happening and it's taking place right now. Daniel did not know that when he was praying and while he was fasting, that there was a fight going on in the heavenlies, and this is what the angel said to him. He said, Daniel, I have come from a battle for 21 days, that Daniel fasted and prayed for 21 days. And he said, I have come because of your words. In other words, your prayers released me from that warfare. Now I have to return, because the spirit of Greece has come to join the spirit of Persia in order to bring about a victory. Daniel, keep praying. Daniel, keep getting revelation, because out of that revelation will come a revolution. Out of your revelation will come a revolution. That's what we need in this nation. We need a divine revolution. We need a turnaround. We need young people to understand that God is exciting, that His kingdom rules and reigns, and there's not failure. There's no room for failure. Everybody say, there's no room for failure. So what am I saying? I'm saying that while you're in captivity, you can give it to me, thanks. Thank you. While you're in captivity, you have a key. Compliments of Ed Monroe gave me this key. We have a key. Switch your phones, please. You have a key. That's my wife here. I knew it. I tell everybody, switch your phones when you're busy. We have a key. The key is prayer, but not regular, ordinary, needy prayer. It's prophetic prayer. What I am doing today is equipping you to join forces to pray not only for America, but for the nations that are under attack right now. Wherever you are watching from, whether you're in the United Kingdom, whether you're in France or Paris or wherever you, where? Belgium. Shout the names of where they're writing in from. Ohio. Wherever you from, where you right now, you are being equipped with prophetic insight as to how to pray to bring victory to our nation. Okay, I just want victory in my house. Well, Daniel got victory in his house when he was praying. When the angel came, he affected Daniel as well. In other words, Daniel's prayers were bringing about revelation. That revelation was bringing about a revolution, a change. Now, the vision that I had was about a python that was going to, and I of course told you what that means. It's a spirit of divination. And that spirit of divination charms. Everybody say charms. Now, I mean, that's with my accent. It's charm. It charms. That's what it does. It is charming. It is enticing. Now, what I saw this morning when I was in prayer, besides anything else, that God was going to bring about a victory, a massive victory in this nation. But there were going to be some humbling moments in the White House and humbling moments for this president. This is not that I'm against him. I'm just telling you some humbling needs to start to take place. We need some humble people to come and to stand and to speak the truth. Humility is lacking. Okay, I'm not getting much response from that, and I don't blame you, because you're not sure where I'm coming from. As I was praying this morning, the Spirit took me into a heavenly place, and I began to realize that there was a stronghold that was joining the Python spirit, and now at this very hour, that spiritual force. Now remember, the angel spoke to Daniel about a prince of Persia and a prince of Greece, and the different princes, the ruling powers, or the not ruling now, but the powers that are at war with the people of God, and Israel specifically, are active at this very moment. And what are we doing? They have planned for the downfall of the U.S. economy. They have planned for the closing of non-profit companies and charitable organizations. They have planned for your downfall and for you to lose your money. This is not about a liberal or a conservative or whatever. It's not about that. Their plan is to destroy and to suffocate the very life out of you. That's their plan. They are active right now. What are we doing about it? What is our responsibility? What is it that we are supposed to do to bring an end to this? Well, we need to vote? Yes, okay, vote. Look what just happened. Vote. Do whatever you have to do. Make your voice known. But I'm telling you right now, the greatest power that you have and the key that you have is to find out what is happening in the spirit and begin to pray against that and declare that you are totally inoperable. You cannot operate in the presence of the people of the living God, and you cannot operate in the presence of the blood of Christ that speaks of better things than that of Abel. We are the princes of the blood royal. Do you understand that? If you do understand that, then I want every person watching me and all over the world to raise your hands up and say, I believe that my prayers make a difference. Therefore, what I perceive, I receive. So, Lord, I'm praying for perception to come in these next few minutes, that people would understand and see with the Spirit, and as they realize that their perception will bring about a prayer that will destroy this force that's trying to destroy America. And I can tell you many of the plans of the enemy at this time. I can tell you a lot of it. I don't need to. I've just told you a few things, and eventually it gets onto to your national news, to your news, to go and find out that's what they're planning. What is God saying, though? Now, let me say this to you in a very small teaching. The spirit that we are dealing with, besides Pythos, which we know God said He'll deal with, we have to pray against, and we have to sow into His kingdom. But the second one is Jezebel. Why are you talking about Jezebel today? Because this morning I saw those two forces joining, because the python is losing power and losing momentum. Just like when Gabriel spoke about the prince of Persia being brought down, this prince of Greece joined him in that battlefield. Now, I know some of you may be saying, I think you're crazy, and maybe I am, but I am biblically crazy. And so what I'm giving you right now is what happened in the Bible and what's happening right now. Every Bible name has a meaning. So much so that sometimes when God changed the nature of a person, He also changed his or her name. Now, Sunil will tell you and show you in code breakers, not today, that how it was. I heard the plans of demonic powers when I was in Detroit, Michigan, and prophesied when they said, we will change the name of America and we will change the name of Israel. Now, some of you are perhaps sitting there saying, this is absolutely stupid. It's happened in the past. It can happen again. Don't be so sure of yourself. I'm not even going to talk about the gun control issue right now, but this is going to get very, very nasty. I'm just warning you, and maybe some of you know that, but it's going to get really nasty. What do we got to do about it, Kim? We are covered by prophetic preservation. But remember something. When God changes a person's name, it was for the future. In other words, when He changed the name of Abram to Abraham, because God believed God's promise of a son. And so He changed his name to Abraham, putting God in there. So He changed his wife's name from Sarai to Sarah. Okay, you got me. Years later, after the angel of the Lord had wrestled with him all night long, Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Now remember something, each one of you, according to Revelation chapter 3, you've been given a new name, which means you have a nature inside of you that is able to fit with that description and that name. That's another teaching altogether, and it's in the Bible. Go to Revelation 3 something, I don't know what it is, and it's there. And you'll find out He says He is given, in fact, I'm going to read it to you right now. Miranda, can you bring me my Bible, which is normally here. And I'm going to read this to you because I want you to see something, because we're going to be dealing with the book of Revelation as well and the future. You have to go and get it. That's usually, I had it earlier on. Okay, so Jacob wrestled with God, and God said these words to him. Now, sometimes we've got to realize that what we're wrestling is for our future. What we're wrestling for is for what is already inside of us, our destiny. Remember something, the enemy does not want you to get what God planned for you to have. You all know that. But what are we wrestling? Now we know it's a spiritual battle. We cannot do it by ourselves. But Jacob wrestled with God. Now that's a great wrestling match, because God usually loses. Let me show you why. And when I don't say lose, I'm kidding with you. So when Jacob wrestled with God, he was saying, as he crossed over the ford of Jabbok, when he crossed over that ford, the Bible says that he went by himself and a man wrestled with him all night long. Now that wrestling match was for a purpose. First of all, God wanted to see if he could prevail not only over men, but over God. He can prevail with God, not over God, with God. Let me read this to you in Revelation chapter 3. I hope I can find it because this is one of the most unplanned meetings, although I have prayed a lot. And please write into Facebook and encourage me because I need it now. Oh, okay, thank you. Revelation chapter 3 verse, I don't know what it is. It's somewhere here. Let me find it. I'm going to find it. No, I haven't found it. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll just read it to you then. It's here somewhere. Just go and find it. Maybe somebody on Facebook can write it in. It's where it says, he has given us a stone and written on that stone a new name, which no one knows except him who receives it. I'm just quoting that out of my head. I think it's it's Revelation chapter 3. I just cannot find it at this very second. And anyway, somebody can write in and tell me. It was unplanned. So the scripture says in Revelation, that's the revelation of Jesus Christ, it says, we have been given a white stone and written on that stone a new name which no one knows except him who receives it. 2:17. Thank you so much. Everybody go there. Everybody go. Revelation chapter 2 verse 17. Let's read it. I'm going to read it to you because it's a very exciting one. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. That's to you. To him who overcomes, I will give some of the hidden manna to eat. Beautiful thought here. If you overcome, everybody stop. You say, some of you are thinking to yourselves, well, I didn't overcome yesterday. Did you overcome today? Did you overcome anything today? If you overcame just one thing, you're an overcomer. But Kim, I'm struggling with other things. If you can overcome one thing at a time, you're an overcomer. If you have nothing that you're overcoming, then you're a loser. But surely you can understand that we cannot overcome everything at the same time. But when something comes against you and you're able to overcome it, you are an overcomer. Beautiful. Good going, Kim. He who overcomes, I will give some of the hidden manna to eat. That which is hidden inside of you will come forth. Just like Hannah, the experience she had, we gave some of the hidden Hannah. Yeah. Anyway, so the hidden manna, when she had it in her spirit, I spoke it out. She had to step out by faith. Hannah could have said at that time, no, I'm not doing it. I've had people say that to me, but she didn't. She stepped out and began to do it by faith. And the result was, look what you have today. You have a person singing songs of God, prophesying, doing the most amazing stuff. And what happened was there was hidden manna in Hannah. Hidden manna in Hannah. There's hidden manna inside of you, and the way that it comes forth is when you overcome. Let me give you an example. God says to you, I'd like you to take 30 minutes of your time, and I want you to go and pray. You say, I'm sorry, I cannot do it, and you don't overcome. I'm trying to tell you it's in those areas that we need to overcome more than these silly little things that seem to hold us down and we worry about every single day. We've got to worry about the big stuff that we have to overcome, that comes against us. He who overcomes, was it 17? I will give hidden manna to eat. Okay, I've said it. And I will give him a white stone. And on the stone a new name written which no one knows except him who receives it. Wow. What is it saying? It says each one of you has something hidden that has to come out. The white stone speaks of revelation. When Jesus said, who do men say that I am? To his disciples. Some said, you are Jeremiah. Some said, you are Elijah. Some said, you are John the Baptist. Some say, there's too many people quoting somebody else. What do you say? Jesus says to them, who do you say that I am? I'm sick of hearing what CBN saying, or CNN is saying, whoever. I didn't mean CBN. Sorry, Pat. Sorry. Not doing very well today. CNN or ABC, whatever they are. I don't want to hear what they're saying. What do you say? Listen carefully, please. Nobody says a word. Simon Peter plucks up the courage because something's hidden inside of him. And he's going to overcome fear. And he says, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. As he says that, Jesus swings around in response to revelation. Are you hearing me? What does God respond to more than anything else? Revelation. What he has revealed to you, speak out. I'm not ashamed to say I'm a prophet because God told me that, made me that. And I would be stupid not to say it. If God made you something, then you say it, you speak it out. So Simon Peter reveals what he gets. He says, you are Christ, the Son of God. Jesus responds to him and says these words. He said, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father has revealed this to you. He says, listen to this now. He says to him, no longer are you Simon, but now you are Peter. What's that all about? Well, remember when he first met Peter, he said, you are Simon, but you will be called Peter. Hidden inside of you is a reigning rock. And it was only when he spoke out the revelation and that was released that he became Peter. It's only when you speak it out, you overcome. And revelation is spoken out that you become the stone. Now, what does the white stone speak about? So what did he say? What did he say to him? He said, where's my key? Forgive the den today, please. What did he say to him? Based on your revelation, I give you the key, the keys of the kingdom. Now, you may not understand fully what I'm saying, but I think a lot of you are quite spiritually minded to understand why prophetic revelation is so important. Because when God says something and you speak it out, there is a response that comes from God and says, now you've stepped into your higher nature. Now you have stepped into your higher calling. You have another revelation 2 years from now, you step into a higher. It always goes higher and higher to a higher degree of understanding, insight, to a greater realm of existence. Okay, so Simon Peter gets the keys. What does he tell him he can do? Bind on earth, bind in heaven. Loose on earth, loose in heaven. By the way, you understand what the word Peter means. It means a stone. The Revelation chapter 2 verse 17 simply says, when you get a revelation, it is like a white stone, and on that stone written a new name, which only you know about. And then you change into that which is hidden inside of you. That was well put. At least that little piece was well put. Okay. In the New Testament, Saul of Tarsus, whose name meant demanded, he changed his name to Paul. You know what Paul means? Little, lesser. He was no longer demanding. He changed his name to humble or less or little. And this is what the greatest apostle became in his own eyes as he looked increasingly upon the greatness of Christ. It's amazing how often a biblical character lives up to the meaning of his or her name. It is. Sometimes, as in the case of Paul, they deliberately took a name that meant what he wanted to be. Now, let me speak to you in closing these last few minutes, because you and I have got to get to understand what is taking place in the Spirit. Let's talk about the name Baal. Baal is how you actually say it. The prophets of Baal. The word, now we're going to talk about it because we're going to get to JEZEBEL and find out what is creeping into our White House, our capital, our politicians. No, not because they're Democrats, not at all. But please take this warning, and today we are going to take some action in the presence of the Spirit. Now you stay with me. Am I getting any yahoos from okay. Thank you. And I do this because sometimes I'm not I'm not sure if I'm connecting because sometimes it irritates me and the Lord does this to me. I wake up this morning, I have this perfect message, and then I go into my garden and oh, no. It's just an hour and a half, it's beautiful. But and then I realize, He's telling me to do it today. And I'm saying, God, I'm not even prepared. I don't even know the scriptures. And then we got 20 minutes to go, and they're saying, well, you decided to start at 12 o'clock. Now, here I am. So I'm doing my best. Okay. Baal means master, possessor, controller, possessor of anything or everything. It doesn't just want one thing. It wants to possess everything. It wants to control you. Don't take lightly what this prophet is saying regarding the same thing that happened with Elijah. There was a divided opinion when Elijah got onto Mount Carmel to destroy the prophets of Baal and ultimately Jezebel. Do you understand that they were of two opinions? Israel. I don't think the church has ever been as bad as it is now in terms of a divided opinion about the future. And if we don't give them a glimpse into the future by saying it's not just bad, God is doing good things, God is doing great things, then they're going to lose it. And you and I are going to be suffocated. Okay. Each person has certain traits, vices, and then of course virtues that exist in your soul. Now, you and I have spoken about the soul. And each soul, listen to this, please listen to my statement. Each soul wants to coexist, which means to exist together. Okay? Like-minded souls search for each other. Now, we're not talking about virtues only, vices. Virtues, wonderful. I see a virtue in somebody, I like that, I am drawn to that person. Our souls attach. We're not talking about marriages and stuff like that. We're talking about in life. Even though marriage it's a very important issue. I'm saying souls like to exist together. Now that's in virtue, but also in vice, in evil. Souls look for one another to do things together. When they built the tower in Genesis 11, which top would reach into heaven, they were totally united. Their souls were coexisting. And they were doing it. The soul of the church needs coexistence as never before. With each other, I'm saying. To be united. I was telling my team the other day, I'm so proud of the Trinity. They do such a great job. You don't get Jesus complaining to the Father, I don't want to do that job. And the Holy Spirit saying to Jesus, I'm not going to. You don't have that. They are completely united. That's why they're called one. Now, it's the same thing is with the soul. You and I, all of you watching, we are existing together and we have one thought in mind. Of course, that's Christ to be sent to the world and shown the good news, but also what is he saying now? And let us realize that the spirit of Pythos and the spirit of Jezebel have now sought each other so they could coexist and they could become multiple powers. What does that mean for us? It means the control. Listen, control is not always bad, but it's getting worse. Now, this is dangerous when these souls try to coexist, when there is evil and bad in a human soul, because the mischief doubles. The mischief multiplies as they coexist. The name Jezebel means non-cohabitant, without obligation. So Jezebel, if you want an answer, is not just a wicked woman, because people have picked on these poor women for years. Jezebel can be in a male form. Jezebel means non-cohabitant, without obligation. Doesn't need to be any specific place. Jezebel is a fantasy space. She's an effect, a personality, a lifestyle. Now let's give you a bit of history on Jezebel, because we're going to pray against this together in the next few weeks. I've set myself aside to fast like I've never before and pray, because God called me to this nation and to Israel. United Kingdom, Australia, Africa, to different nations to speak to them. Now, who was Jezebel in history? The daughter of Ethbaal, who was the priest king of Tyre and Sidon. She was married to Ahab, as you know, to ratify an alliance between Tyre and Israel. Tyre, that's the city, okay? By which Omri provision was made for her to continue, listen, to worship her native god, Baal, in Samaria, her new home. So in other words, it was coming from the top. You realize when somebody has authority to that degree, the queen, it then gets released to the nation. She had a strong, domineering character and was self-willed, and she was forceful. A fanatical devotee of Melquat, the Tyrian Baal. Now, that's just a little bit of history I thought I'd give you, so you understand she came into Israel as a queen. Her staff, just the people that worked for, numbered 450 of these prophets. The 400 prophets of the goddess Asherah. By the time Ahab was king. So she had 450 of the prophets. 400 of the prophets were false prophets that she'd surrounded herself with. And what she clamored for more than anything was for her God to have at least equal rights with Yahweh, God of Israel. I know I'm speaking out of revelation. I know that I'm speaking from my heart. And I know it's a lot that I'm pouring out to you. But I want you to hear me because God told me to do this. That she wanted her God, Baal, to have equal rights in Israel with Yahweh, God of Israel. Now I want to tell you who the God of America is. It's Jesus Christ. And I'm not saying the Lord God, or I'm not saying Yahweh or Shalom. I'm saying His name. Jesus Christ. People came to this nation for that purpose. This nation was brought to being for one reason, to announce to the world that there is only one God, and that is Jesus Christ. There can be no cohabitant. There can be no equal other than Jesus Christ. There's no other God that is equal to Him. Do you understand me? So, Kim, you're going to get into trouble because in this country we let all religions operate. I know. But there's only one God. Those aren't real gods. Jesus Christ is Lord. Thanks, Charlie. This brought her into conflict with the prophet Elijah. The reason that God is raising up prophets all over the world is because this spirit is so prevalent. This spirit is endeavoring to raise the names of religions and gods and make them equal with Christ. Then it'll get worse. Now we come to the real issue. Now Elijah says, oh, I see. The conflict begins with the prophet Elijah. A battle between Yahweh and Baal is about to take place in the United States of America. Come, Joel. In the United States of America. Did you hear what I said? Kim, I've never heard you being so negative. This is not about negative. We're still going to be blessed. We're still going to have our families. We're still going to see God's abundance in our life. I want you to know that this force is bringing a conflict with the prophets because it has decided that it will dwell in this United States of America. The battle, I'm going to say it as a prophetic word, between Yahweh, Yeshua, and Baal is about to take place. A battle in the United States of America. A spiritual battle is about to take place. Kim, you saying that we're in trouble? No, I'm saying to you, get up. Get out of slothfulness. Rise up and pray and fast with me is my request. You don't have to give up all your food. All you got to do is give up something and say, we're going to do for the first 100 days in the United States of America and all over the world. I want all of you to join me. I'm going to go on a partial fast to see this victory brought about. and the prosperity of his people to take place. A battle between Yeshua and Baal is being fought in the United States of America and is beginning right now. Now, what happened? What happened on that mountain of Carmel? A massacre. I'm not being dramatic. A massacre took place of the prophets of Baal. The problem was, instead of diminishing Jezebel's zeal, it augmented it. She had a conception, and I want every person to please try and listen to me now, of an absolute monarchy. Her conception, her dream was of an absolute monarchy, to rule as long as she lived. That spirit is on our nation and will spread if we, the prophets, don't do something about it. I'm not exaggerating. This is a heavy den, but I need to use this to address it. Are you speaking about the president? Are you speaking about the vice? I'm not speaking about it. I'm talking about a spirit. You work it out yourself. But this force has come to join hands. And I'll tell you the one thing that Elijah did that I love. He mocked their gods. He said, do what you have to do to bring fire from heaven, because here is a sacrifice in front of you, in your presence. I'm going to offer the greatest offering that Israel has ever given on this Mount of Carmel. I'm going to do it in the presence of Baal. And they began to dance around and scream, and hour after hour they cut themselves, they bled, they urinated, they did all kinds of stuff. That's what the Baals did. They were so full of filth. As they did it, Elijah stood up and said, where is your God? Has he gone to the toilet? Has he gone to refresh himself? And began to mock the God of Baal, the Baals. Now listen to me, please. This is great stuff. Go to a major key so we can, and go to the key of D major if you can. Listen to this, people. I'm finished with Jezebel now. I just wanted to tell you that. But I do want to tell you this. What is going to bring about victory in the United States of America, Canada, United Kingdom, France, countries all over the world that God has pinpointed me to pray for. Even though oppressed nations, Russia, God has told me there's certain things he wants to do, and he is plucking out people from all of these nations, and they're going to have this unbelievable soul connection like we have right now, and going to break the power of this force as Elijah did on Mount Carmel. Thank God I'm finished with that, because I had to share it. It's off my heart now. Now let's do what they did. Every person watching me at this very moment, I want you to stop just for a second. I want you to think just for 1 minute about what took place, and then we're going to play, and we're going to get you into a place of hearing from God. Elijah stood and mocked them, and then he said, get out of my way, and built an altar. Now you've heard me talk about this before, but we are going to act today. What was the purpose of it? He said, bring me water, pour it on the wood, because I'm going to prove God so much to you that I'm going to take that which you don't have, pour it on the wood so it's impossible for it to burn. And then the fire and the water together, okay, the fire and the water together are going to bring about rain and the destruction of the Baal prophets, and bring Israel into one opinion. He stood before Israel and said, why do you have two opinions? Your soul is divided. Let us offer the offering to God, and in the presence of the Baal, let us offer this offering, and when the fire comes and consumes the offering, the first thing that's going to happen is the destruction of the prophets of Baal, and then the rain from heaven. Are you wanting that for your nation, for your people, for your family, for your business? Yes, you do. Then we're going to do it now. Father, we sense very strongly that this prophetic revelation has taken us to a place where we know we have no choice but to act. We're not going to do anything now. We're going to first do what Elijah did in the presence of these enemies, in the presence of Baal, in the presence of Jezebel. We are going to offer an offering to you, Lord, and we pray that as we put it on this altar, that you would consume our offering and then bring to destruction, begin today, of this spirit that has endeavored to join the spirit of Pythos, to suffocate us, to take habitation of us, to take control over us. And Lord, I pray, cast it out from even the top in the land, throughout this nation and throughout the earth, I pray. Now every person, listen to me. I want you to pray a prayer and say this, and then I want you to act. I want to give to you, Lord, knowing that this offering is done in the presence of prophetic revelation and in the presence of the spirit of Jezebel. And as I do it, I'm praying that you would bring this force down, and that you would touch our nation, but especially our families, and that Yeshua would be raised up, and control, suffocation will be brought down to nothing. Say, we are in the beginning stages of a reformation. Now people have, as I said, have laughed at me about this. And a recovery. And I'm talking about in the church. For what purpose? Apostolic Christianity. To recover apostolic Christianity, we need to return to the basics, the foundations of the first century church. And I want to say something. Somehow the church has skipped the simple in search of the sensational. And when I say sensational, I'm referring to the dynamics of spiritual revival and renewal. The fire of God, the signs, the wonders, the miracles. These are very important. But for our desire to have this so much, we have missed the foundations of basic Christian living. No structure, listen to me, no structure can excel the strength of its grounding. It cannot excel the strength of its foundation. Without revelation, the people perish. Without progressive revelation, the people para, which means to go backwards. I'm not about to go backwards. I'm only about to go forward. How many of you ready for that? I was the cool of the day in the Garden of Eden. I was the burning bush in the desert. I was the wilderness in Nahum, the prophet's vision. I was the voice in Bilam's donkey. I was the still small voice to Elijah. I am the revelation of Jesus. I am, not me, I'm speaking about that revelation. I was the rustling of leaves in the mulberry tree, forcing David to advance and to fight. I was the revelation when I wrote on the wall, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. When he wrote, Mene, Mene, your years are numbered, your days are time, they're over. I was the sword of Gideon and the Lord, the star that guided the wise men, the angel at Abraham's tent, the cleft in the rock. I was the revelation, and I am the revelation, the fire in the cloud, at Sinai and the tongue of fire on the day of Pentecost. I am that I am. I am the revelation of Jesus Christ. I tell you the story of love. I tell you the story of sorrow. I tell you the story that saves some and the story that destroys others. I am the revelation of Jesus Christ. I'm close to the marriage altar, and when the grave opens, I stand nearby. I call the wanderer home. I rescue souls from the deep. I open the lips of lovers, and through me the dead whisper to the living. I serve one as I serve all. I am the revelation of Jesus. I open a vista to the universe, and after experiencing me, you will feel that there is meaning to life after all. I am the revelation of Jesus. Jesus, we never want you to stop speaking. Show yourself, reveal yourself. Wherever we may be, we will honor you. So we say welcome into this house, into our homes, and thank you for your blessing. Amen.
Bây giờ anh đã quên rồi, em đã quên rồi, dòng tin nhắn anh quên rồi, em đã quên rồi, mình chẳng còn gì nữa rồi, còn gì nữa đâu. Quên rồi, em quên rồi, giờ chỉ còn là những vấn vương đưa em mang cho anh bao nhiêu tiền ở gần đường. Giờ chỉ là những cô đơn lang thang một chiều vắng, giờ chỉ là những cơn mưa say trong một chiều nắng. Nắng vàng nhẹ rơi trên đôi mắt em, nắng vàng nhẹ bay qua đôi mắt em, hơi cả mà im trong cơn gió hay qua. Nắng nhẹ nhàng hôn lên đôi mắt em. Em đã dần quên rồi, quên rồi, em đã dần quên rồi. Ngày mình từng có đôi, từng quên rồi. Ta đã cùng đi qua bao cảm xúc, đi qua những cung bậc tình yêu. Ta chẳng thể giữ lấy nhau một phút, thế nhưng mà trên đời cướp một thu. Giờ đã có những thứ anh ấy cũng chẳng được mình, em chẳng còn giữ để lại sự duyên tình. Bây giờ chúng ta chỉ đơn làng, giờ em đi theo ai cũng mang bang. Giờ ta hứa một đời sẽ mãi ở bên, dấu trong đôi mắt em bây giờ là những giọt buồn rối ren. Và đã có những cố gắng anh đem vào sâu nơi trái